I have a really interesting clip from the Joe Rogan program. Matt Walsh has become an expert to the right wing about gender and trans issues. He did a documentary about trans issues. He confronts people about gender affirming care and all these different things. And it turns out that he's just a liar. He's just a liar. And there was a very interesting moment wherein yesterday on Joe Rogan's podcast, Matt Walsh was saying millions of trans people are on puberty blockers. Hundreds of thousands of minors, prepubescent girls are getting gender reassignment surgery and blah, blah, blah. It's all untrue. Let's start with the clip. It's fact checked by Joe Rogan's producer, Jamie, during the interview. And everything, this is a clinic. This is a clinic in critical thinking. Let's listen.
How many people have had this done?
Depends on what. I don't think we have exact numbers, but
we do have numbers. We have very good numbers on what's happening in the United States. There is data for how many procedures of just about every kind are being done.
We're talking about the drugs. Millions.
Okay, so millions on puberty blockers. All right, let's continue.
You're talking about hormone blockers.
Yeah.
Millions of kids have been on hormone blockers, really?
I'm sure someone's going to fact check me on it, but my guess is that we're into the millions now at this point. Yeah, that would be my guess. I can say for double mastectomies, the most.
Okay, so millions on hormone blockers, millions of minors on hormone blockers. The best data I was able to find is that there's 120,000 children struggling with what is often called gender dysphoria. Some small fraction of those at some point might take some of these medications. Okay. He says millions a year. The total number with gender dysphoria, 120,000. Only a fraction of those are taking these medications. So first lie. Do the numbers really even matter to these people? I don't think so, but there's the first lie.
I read a report recently that there were over 1,000.
Oh, let me back up because now they're on to something else.
I can say for double mastectomies, I read a report recently that there were over 1,000 done between 2016 and 2019. And when you compare that to how many were done between, 2008 and 2015, it's a massive.
Okay, but that's 300 a year. Huh. That doesn't sound so high, does it? But that's not even really right. Let's continue.
Increase. And over 1,000 girls had gender affirming double mastectomies in that time frame.
And when you say girls, you're talking about prepubescent?
Right. Minors.
Now did you see what just happened there? You're talking about prepubescent? Double mastectomies for prepubescent girls? We'll get back to that. That doesn't make sense either. And he goes, that's right, minors. Okay. Prepubescent and minor are two different things. I'm sure you know that. But did you see how slickly he slipped that in? I'll play it once more.
And over 1,000 girls had gender affirming double mastectomies in that time frame.
And when you say girls, you're talking about prepubescent?
Right. Minors.
Right. Minors. So two different things. Now, of course, you might say, do prepubescent girls have breasts? Can you even do a double mastectomy on a prepubescent girl? What exactly are you removing? And of course, if you research this, you start to find medical information about it. It is very rare that prepubescent girls actually have breasts. And you can read about what happens to the nipple. And okay, you're right. I mean, we don't need to go into detail about everything, but at face value, this doesn't make sense. Prepubescent girls who almost never have breasts are having their breasts removed. That's really weird. But then he slips in, right, these are minors. So you could actually be talking about a 17-and-a-half-year-old girl, not prepubescent, legally a minor. Completely different situation. Doesn't make anything right or wrong. But it's a completely different situation than what he claims.
And that's just up until 2019. And then we know that there's been this exponential increase with all this stuff year over year. So it's a lot. It's too many. Having this happen to one kid is
says who?
Way too many. It's a lot more than one.
Yeah. Look, if you're an adult and you want to do that and you understand who you are and what you are and this is how you feel you should progress, you're an adult. This is a free country. You should be able to do whatever you want. But when you're talking about doing that to children, the fact that so many people are on board and so many people are angry, if you have people are going to be angry at us that we're having these conversations.
No. How could you be angry that they're having the conversation? The problem is that Walsh just lies.
Yeah, they will be. And I also, I actually think that that this shouldn't be happening to.
So now they've pulled up an article.
It's a very small number, if that's right.
It says over the last 5 years, there were at least 4,780 adolescents who started puberty blockers.
Okay. He said there are millions of adolescents on puberty blockers. They just found a study that says it's under 5,000 over 5 years. That's under 1,000 a year. He said millions. Study says it's under 1,000. Think about that.
And at a prior gender dysphoria diagnosis.
Under 1,000 a year. He said millions.
It's kind of undercounted, but that's
That would be a big
less than
undercounting.
1,000 people a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would guess, hundreds of thousands.
Let me correct my wrong guess of millions because you found that the real number is 900 and say it's probably hundreds of thousands. I can't now get away with saying it's millions because the data says it's 900. So let's just go with hundreds of thousands.
But I could be wrong.
You are wrong,
Million sounds great.
Yeah, I could be.
right? It's much better for the story. So listen, guys, there are about 9,000, everything I found from medical journals reporting on this, there are about 9,000 trans surgeries performed annually across the United States total. And that's all ages, what's called male to female and female to male. That's any type, okay? That's mostly adults, okay? And what fraction of those are the situation that Matt Walsh is talking about? I mean, almost none. Now, then the problem with these people is then they'll revert back to even one is too many. That's different. The first case they make is this is an epidemic. This is a fad. Everybody's doing it. You just show up and they cut off your breasts, even if you don't have any. If you're an 11-year-old girl, you've got no breasts, they'll cut them off. What are they cutting off, Matt? I don't know. They're doing it. Millions of people on puberty, all this stuff. Then you give them the real numbers. They go, well, one is too many. Oh, but that's a different argument now. Your first argument was it's too widely available. It's absolutely horrifying. And good for Jamie for at least interjecting and injecting some data into this. Before you go, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more, please make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can click the subscribe button below or above or wherever it is on your screen. And if you want to support my work even more strongly, the best way is to get a membership at joinpakman.com and subscribe to the podcast for The David Pakman Show. There you can check out interviews, longer clips, and much more. It's on all the big podcasting platforms. Just search for The David Pakman Show, and all the links are also down below in the video description.